Last meeting, we'll do that. Welcome to the Tuesday, December 15th, 2005, Village of Peoria Heights Board of Trustees meeting. Meeting is now called to order. Would you please rise and join us in the pledge of the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn.
Present.
Trustee Carter.
Present.
Trustee Mariscal. Trustee Cumming.
Present.
Trustee Reichert. Present. Trustee Fuller.
Present.
Okay, thank you very much. Our first order of business tonight is the approval of the Board of Trustees minutes for our December 1st, 2015 meeting. Are there any changes that need to be made to the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes as submitted.
We have a motion from Trustee Cumming.
Second.
Second from Trustee Reichert. All those in favor of approving the Board of Trustees minutes for the December 1st, 2015 meeting as submitted, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Thank you. The ayes have it, and the board has approved the minutes for December 1st as submitted. Next order of business tonight is the approval of the executive session minutes for December 1st, 2015. Need a motion for approval, please.
So moved.
Have a motion from Trustee Cumming.
Second.
Second from Trustee Carter. All those in favor of approving the executive session minutes for December 1st, 2015, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Thank you. The ayes have it, and the board has approved the executive session minutes for December 1st. Our next order of business tonight will be correspondence, and that will be presented by our village clerk, Shauna Musselman.
I have no correspondence this evening.
All righty, thank you. No announcements tonight, so we will move on to trustee reports, and first up will be Public Works with Trustee Harn.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. The only thing I have to report on, Vessler Welding is doing some work on our big stop signs on Prospect. They are following the engineer's plans. As far as I know, that's the first time an engineer's really put a stamp on that, so that's kind of nice. I mean, so we actually, they'll take care of the swaying that we were talking about earlier this year, and someone else can maybe be a little bit responsible for the signs. So, but no, this will make it really safe. So it's a good thing, and they'll be done another day or so.
Okay, great.
And that's it.
All right, thank you. Any questions at all for Trustee Harn? Okay, thanks again. We'll move to administration personnel with Trustee Cumming.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I have nothing this evening.
All right, thank you. We will continue with economic development, village improvements with Trustee Carter.
Thank you. I have nothing to report.
Thank you very much. We'll go to the police department with Trustee Fuller.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. The only thing I have is that there will be a neighborhood watch on Monday the 28th up here at Village Hall, 6:30.
All right.
Yeah, that's the way crime is. That's great.
The criminals take no break, we don't either. It's that simple. That's our motto. All right, any questions at all for Trustee Fuller? Thank you very much. We'll go to building property maintenance, and we will turn to Administrator Fick. Any news on that front?
Nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you very much, and we'll close out with the fire department with Trustee Reichert.
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Thank you. Move now to comments from the audience. If anybody in the audience has a care, concern? Michael? No. Nothing? No recipes? Roberta? Jen? Well, we do thank you all for attending.
It's great that our audience has no cares or concerns.
They just enjoy being in amidst all this love. All right, no old business tonight, so we'll go to new business, and first up will be the authorization to submit an application for a Transportation Alternatives Program grant, which will be presented by Trustee Harn.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I think I'll let Kyle talk about this. He's been instrumental in the whole application process, and he knows a lot about it, so we'll hear from him.
Well, not to dwell on it again too much tonight, because I know we talked about it at length last time, and actually, if I may,
you may
approach from the front.
Mr. Director, if you could take that over to the village lectern so we could hear you.
Absolutely. have a different flavor over here. So we had this put together for tonight. Hopefully you got to take a peek at it on your way in. This is kind of what Administrator Fick and I had been working on with the engineer. This doesn't necessarily have to be the concept. It was just a concept that we had. Again, the end of Peoria here, existing bike trail. We've got the 2 gazebos. One would essentially be open for sitting and relaxing. The other one would be more enclosed. That would have the restrooms, drinking fountain, all the plumbing, that sort of thing. Playground on the other side for children to enjoy. We kind of liked this idea of almost bifurcating the trail stop. Feel like it really drew people in, having amenities on either side. But again, really what we're asking for tonight is just approval from the board to move forward with the grant. The application itself is actually due the first Monday in January. So with Christmas, with New Year's, we're running out of time. We've already been kind of working on it a little bit, but we didn't want to put too much time into it in case we decided not to move forward. That board's heavier than it looks, and I'm getting old, so I'm tired of holding it. So what we had talked about last time, there's about $290,000 available. Again, 30,000 foot level. The engineer has told us he's fairly confident we could get the project done between 250 and 350. So I know we exchanged some emails about a required match. If we went for the whole 290, the village's portion, the village's match would be about $70,000. So you'd be looking at a $360,000 project in total. Again, it's transportation alternatives money. This money is actually here right now. It's physically in the MPO's bank account. And so this would be here, accessible. They're going to award, do you remember the date, Matt? It's some, like April or May?
I think no later than May, first part of May.
Okay, so it's pretty quick, especially for government, especially for the local MPO. It's a quick turnaround. I mean, we could potentially have this thing designed, laid out, be under construction this summer. I wouldn't think the construction would take real long. My hope would be that it would actually be up and running this summer, that we could get some time to actually use it. So, again, I don't know how much more everybody wants. I know there's been a lot of discussion on the location and whatnot. What we're looking for tonight is just approval to move forward, that this is a direction we want to go with this application. And again, apologize for kind of the order of this, but because of the time frame, because we canceled the departmental, we kind of had to hash this through in the board setting.
So if we go forward with the grant, and the grant that you guys write, is it for that location, and then if we decide after we get the grant, approve the grant, that we move it, or is it strictly for that site?
The way the grant would be written, it would be for this site.
For that site.
Yeah, so the scoring, all that has to do with actually ranking our proposal against other communities, it would be based on this site. The site plan itself could of course be tweaked a little bit here and there. If we get into it, we get into design, there's something that doesn't work or there's something that works better. So that's why I wanted to make it clear that this was just kind of our first shot, kind of a high level concept. But the site itself, that would essentially be locked in just because of the way that the grant is structured.
So if I can ask a quick question, not to get too much in the weeds, but for the life of me, I can't figure out that location. Okay, you've got a park a quarter mile on each side of that with the Lions Park and then the new park down by Heritage Square. You've got an abandoned parking lot with really high fencing, right? It doesn't seem like the best entrance into the Heights. It seems to me that if we've got this money, why not tie it into an existing park and make it better, and or do something with the TIF district that we're trying to get up off the ground. I just can't understand this location. And so if I vote against it, it's simply because of the location.
Yeah, and again, I think we've talked about this, and not to dwell on it again.
I wasn't involved in those conversations, I guess, because I didn't understand what the logic was behind that.
Well, you were at last month, or the last meeting we had, right?
A direct shot into the downtown.
Yeah, and that's essentially it in a nutshell. With the former trailhead location that we were looking at, it's more south of downtown. Yeah. Majority of the pleasure riders, pleasure trail users that have the disposable income, they're coming from the north. So if you're pulling them off and you're stopping them when they're already south of downtown, we feel like that's a missed opportunity. This is the closest connection to get people into the heart of our downtown. That was the reason we came up with that location.
Unsightly entrance into the Heights.
It is right now.
Well, are you going to redo the parking lot?
Well, I mean, there has to be some catalyst down there in that area. So, I mean, I think we're trying to put on more of a planning hat, take a planning long view, and we're talking, some years out. Hopefully that property that you're speaking of, yeah, potentially this might help catalyze that project, because that project is in the TIF. Right. I think the trail stop building itself does TIF stretch up there?
It does.
Yeah, TIF stretches up there as well.
So, I mean, at least from my perspective, again, I'm only one person, but I'd rather, if we've got $300,000 of free money, instead of putting $70,000 and getting, that, I'd rather put more money and use the $300,000 as a match and then get something a little bit better. I mean, that, again, that's just my opinion, and I'd like to, if we're going to pour all this money into the TIF, why not pour some more money into it? I mean, this seems kind of like an island. And I think it's just going to be forgotten in a couple of years.
No, I don't think so. I think that everything is a, crapshoot. We're taking chances with everything. Traffic scores, everything that goes with it. But originally we wanted to have that trailhead building, a trailhead building at the park that we purchased the park, and we do have a playground in place. Now, the reason I kind of like this concept more is that, number one, it's on the trail. It's directly on the trail. Number two, it is at a midpoint section that I think will entice people to walk into the village, but also it's a nice amenity just to have on the trail. And I agree with Director Smith and Administrator Fick that sometimes government has to be a catalyst to have something begin.
But what's a bike stop going to be a catalyst for? That's my point.
Because you're going to beautify an area that right now isn't.
Yeah.
And it will tend to, I believe, we have a good chance of it spreading out to entice maybe a developer to go into that area where the Lacey-Pabst TIF is at right now.
So there's no concern that there's no parking, so it's not really a meeting spot. It's not like a destination, like, hey, let's meet at the whatever it's going to be called.
Here's the thing. I don't really look upon this as to be a meeting spot, drive cars in type thing. I'm looking at this as an amenity for people who are on the trail already. Mm-hmm. And those who are on the trail or on their bikes will maybe use this as a stopping off point to go into the village. And even if they don't, even if we only get a half dozen people there on a good weekend to come off and buy stuff in the village, it's a nice amenity. It beautifies an area that needs help along the trail. And this is what we were hoping to have with the trail starting, is that over time, areas of the trail will become more attractive. It won't just be an asphalt driveway.
Well, right, but I mean, let's put this in context. I mean, we've got Junction City, half a mile, we've got our Lions Park. Across the street, we've got the library. A quarter mile further, we're going to have, we've got the CVS and everything. 500 yards past that, we're going to have Truscers, we're going to have a park. So, I mean, it's not like
we won't have anything like this.
Well, okay,
this has bathrooms.
Why don't we build up a bigger area and make it a destination?
I think the point of it is it's a presence on the trail that we don't have a presence on the trail. What's the village have that's on the trail? We don't. I agree. I'd like to have some parking too. I even noticed people park at the Save-A-Lot parking lot and walk over to the trail, but it's just, this grant's gone, and there's no guarantee it's going to be back again next year or ever again. So it's just an opportunity to put something on the trail. We don't have anything on the trail, and I don't see us having
I'm not trying to be negative,
$750,000 anytime soon.
this is more of a departmental conversation that we.
Yeah, you're right,
you
and
know.
I'm sorry,
There's nothing wrong with doing it in a public meeting, you know, it's in front of
Well, I mean,
everybody,
we didn't have
and
a
it's on TV.
Well, we didn't have a department.
We didn't have a department.
Yeah,
right?
so-
Yeah, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with discussing it now either.
Yeah, how about that being?
No, I mean, it really, this was, and again, I'm not, it's a little weird with me standing here, like I'm some
It's okay.
proponent of it. I mean, I don't live in the village, and this isn't even my core job function. It's just I have experience with it in my past life and saw an opportunity here for us to make a move and, you know, try and do what we could with what was in front of us. And that was this. Now, I know when I came on a couple years ago, we were right at the tail end of losing STU money because we did get $300,000 or $400,000, but the cost had escalated to $900,000 or $950,000, and the project went away, and we didn't get anything done. This was just, again, this may not be the final solution. It's a solution for right now, and it allows us to get in the game for relatively short money and get in the game relatively quickly.
I just don't know if this is a game we want to play. I mean, to use the analogy, but that's just, I appreciate the explanation.
And I kind of agree with Matt on the where it's at. That's the part I have a problem with also, is where it's at.
I guess
but when you do the grant, and it's the $290,000, it's not like we have to spend the whole $290 and have this big humongous thing, right?
Nope.
I mean, we can just put like one of those buildings there and do the asphalt and.
I think they would.
I don't know.
They would probably prefer if we are at least fairly close
To the whole.
well, no, but to asking for what we're actually going to use. Because if we put together a good application, which I'm confident we can, we get the support, we get awarded the whole 290, and we only end up spending 150,000 of it, that's locked somebody else out from doing a project.
Right.
So that would be my only worry there. I mean, certainly, we don't have to spend up to the penny. I mean, if we got into this, we decide to change something, delete something, I mean, you certainly wouldn't have to spend it all.
But the way that it is right now, if we got the whole $290,000, the village would have to pitch in $70,000. Where would the $70,000 come from? Next year's budget somewhere, but where's it coming from?
Well, we'd have to go through the budget process and figure that out. I mean, we'd have to maybe look to see if the food and beverage has overperformed this year, so maybe there's some money in there. It's also in the TIF. It also potentially could be in the business development district, which allows us to use TIF and business development district money to pay for it. So I guess other than saying it would be part of the budgeting process for next year to come up with those funds. And I know there's you've talked about some funds you have remaining from your in your water department budget as well.
Can I make a couple comments? Okay. As somebody who uses the trail at least 5 days a week, all year round, when it's not covered with snow, there is no good spot as a public restroom to go to the bathroom when you are on a run leaving Junction, where there's the new water facility.
Yeah, that's right.
You leave Junction, you run all the way down to Bishop and back, and I live there, so I can run home and go to the bathroom, but for somebody that doesn't have that opportunity and doesn't want to park their bike at CVS or go into a business where they aren't purchasing things, there's no good spot between here and there to use the restroom facility or to stop and take a break. There's just no good spot. And so I understand some of the concerns about location, but I also think that you have to think about this from the perspective of a trail user, right? And I will tell you, as a female, if I am as a trail user, I am not going to stop, and I feel very safe on all segments of the trail, so please don't misunderstand my comments. But having said that, I don't want to stop at a public trail stop restroom facility by myself as a female heading down towards Bishop, right? I just would not feel comfortable with that. It's a little more isolated, and it's not in I don't think, a very good location. So I understand the concern about location, but again, I think you have to think of as a trail user. Where are people going to be comfortable stopping? Where are people going to be able to get on and off the trail very easily and in a good location. I know my friends and I, we will get on the trail, we will walk up, we will have dinner in the Heights, and we cut down those side streets right where you're talking, and we didn't cut through because of the issues that have been addressed from the hole, yeah.
Yes.
Right, we would go up a couple more blocks. But I think it is as a trail user, that is a very natural start and stop point, and it's a good way to not necessarily have to go down Glen on a bicycle, or have to go down Glen where the sidewalk's a little more narrow, you have the public poles in the middle of the sidewalk, that type of thing, right? So from an ease of use standpoint, there are a lot of people that already cut through those neighborhoods to access downtown. And I think that that's an important point, because people are already doing it. Maybe not to the scale that we want them to, but my husband and I see people doing that all the time. It's not just us, okay? And granted, we're on foot. There's no place to park a bike there, but there will be with this. And we currently own this now, right?
Yes.
So we don't have to spend any of the money from the grant to purchase the property, so you can have a little bit better facility at that location, right?
Correct.
Okay.
It's important, too, to bear in mind is that the more amenities we have, the better chance we have of getting this grant. Am I correct?
Yes.
The better plan that we put, the more bells and whistles we have out there that are going to help the people on the trail, the better chance we are to get the grant. To have these amenities here, this is really the only location we can fit these in. It's it. Because the rest of the rail corridor is narrower than that, a good deal narrower than that in spots. And in the park area where we were hoping to have the trailhead building, we were only looking for one structure. This right here, we have two structures, one that will have the bathrooms and the water fountain, and then plus an area for people to relax in the shade, plus have another playground area. So for these type of amenities, this really is the only location to put it in, to fit it in. There is no other, and believe me, I've walked that area enough over the past 10 years to know how narrow it is in most spots. So, and the fact that it's right on the trail will get the most use, just like Village Clerk Musselman said, is that if you're looking for people to be able to use the facilities, they're going to appreciate that. That's such a positive in the Heights. Our presence, like Trustee Harn said, on the trail is non-existent right now. This will be an amenity that will make people feel even stronger about the identity of the village. And the fact that this is our best way to get the money in quick order, because there is no other location in the village that will allow us to put this in there. Let's do it right. I applaud Director Smith and Administrator Fick for really thinking ahead of the curve. I think it's important. I understand people have questions and concerns, but I would ask you, please reconsider. I think it's very important for the board to act unified, and it's like I said to everyone, is that if you polled each and every one of us, we'd get 7 different opinions on where this should be. One's got to be it.
Yep.
No, this is just from the internet.
Oh,
Yeah.
so the hole was where? Right here?
The hole was, right here.
And that was all overcome, right?
Yes, it looked like a jump.
And what is this over here?
Just bigger things.
Do we own it?
No.
That fence is
Our line is
really
about
daunting.
right here.
It's got barbed wire in front.
Things will change in your lifetime.
And is this the front one?
It's a big parking lot.
So what? It'll entice them.
That's an expensive bathroom.
Didn't you look at the picture? It's been overlaid.
What's that?
Didn't you look at the
Yeah,
picture? It's been overlaid.
It's not there. I noticed that.
Did anybody else want to?
No.
I had to ask for that to be special. We put signs there too, highlight the businesses and direct people there. It is a long view, it is. It's overlaying that Duryea, putting a striped bike lane in and decorative lighting.
We're pouring so much money into that Huskers building. Why not add this as a little cherry on the top?
I don't know where to go. I mean,
Then we've got the other part down there that's...
So the other park, I don't think that would really qualify for this because it's not on the trail, right?
Correct.
Actually, it is sort of.
It's a little bit of a distance. We were hoping to create another trail.
About 20 feet.
No.
Probably-
It's about a half a block. Maybe even, oh yeah, it is.
The other
It is.
park
Really
is a block away.
Yeah, because it kind of curves around, follows the tracks. You know, and I completely understand what Trustee Fuller is saying, that off of there, you know, we do have some urban decay going on right there that, but you know what, while we were discussing that, I think back to when the asphalt was first laid on the trail and the condition of Junction City and where that was as a development.
It's not going to revitalize that old abandoned warehouse and parking lot.
Well, if we don't do anything, you're absolutely right. It won't revitalize it. But you know, I think that, and as you said, there are no guarantees. But I definitely think that it does add another layer to the potential development of that area, and is a nice rest stop. And I don't really think, I also think that maybe we're thinking that we're adding another park to our existing parks, but I really don't get that feel from this. You know, I don't see anybody coming and setting up a birthday party at the pavilion and, you know, letting the kids play on the limited stuff. Yeah, we're going to maintain it, but I don't see it as being a full-fledged park as with Lions Park or the park down on Columbus and Marietta. You know, my impression is that playground equipment is there for when mom and dad want to take a break and get off the bikes, they can do so and let the kids wander over and play on the jungle gym or the swing set, whatever's over there, but not to make an afternoon out of it by going to the Heights bike stop.
I didn't belabor the point. I was just, I'm, you know, it's just.
No, I thought it was a good point. I was sitting here thinking about it while, you know, while we've been discussing it. And, but yeah, I think it has potential. It's another avenue, and if nothing else, it also creates another entry onto the trail from Duryea. Because right now you've got to walk up that grass berm there to get to it. So it's more trail access.
I just think I hear what you're saying, and it is a bit of a chicken egg type situation, and I don't have the hard data in front of me, although, you know, the nerd in me, I do have it at home. But I wouldn't have known that this was going to come up. But I mean, as far as trailheads, trail stops being generators of economic activity, I mean, I know the site down there, perhaps some urban decay, you know, but yeah, it does come back to, well, what's going to come first? What's going to drive something to happen on that site? So far, things that we've done have not driven any projects there. So I mean, this is just, I still look at this as another catalyst type project. We're trying to line up all these pieces, TIF, BID, enterprise development zone. This is just something else.
I'm not against it, I'm just questioning the location.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of it, but I just don't like that location.
But again, I'm just
questioning the value of,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
trailheads or parks or anything like that. I'm just saying.
But I'm just continuing to try and justify the location. But again, it's not for me to decide. We just need to figure out tonight if we want to move forward with the grant, and if we do,